You know what, Jamie? Let's pop off right now. We got to get started.
We got to go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get the people in the chat. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I'm your host, Greg Flamong, and with me, as always, is Jamie Ueyama, Mr. Jamie University. The Notre Dame-Tennessee State game just ended. Notre Dame won 56-3. 55-3 was my prediction. And I think I win that, Jamie. I think you predicted 58-3 or 59-3.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you went over. And in honor of Bob Barker, that doesn't count. That does not count. R.I.P. to Bob Barker. I was 55.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it.
Jamie accepts. So I will win the prediction game of what the score was going to be. If you listen to our preview show on Thursday, I think everyone knows that we were pretty confident that Notre Dame was going to blow out Tennessee State and was going to be that close. And that's what came to fruition. Tennessee State just didn't have the horses to compete with Notre Dame on the football field. And so a lot of backups. So a lot of people are going to have, discussions about Steve Angeli. I think he looks pretty good out there, and some backups on defense as well. So that's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about whatever people in the chat want to discuss as well. It's going to be a lively show. Notre Dame moves to 2-0. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If this is your first time catching us, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we're going live. So you don't have to check in on, when are they going to go live post game? It's like when we go live, you get an alert, you hop on. So before we get going, I just want to talk to everyone about ESQ clothing. If you're looking to upgrade your wardrobe, ESQ has created the world's first bamboo dress shirt. It's crafted from high quality bamboo fabric, the softest and most comfortable shirt you'll ever put on. It's not only more sustainable than cotton, it also feels cooler, has stretch, odor, and wrinkle resistant. Even machine washable. You've seen ESQ all over the place, Jamie. All over the place by notable people wear ESQ. Many people are saying it's the perfect shirt for today's business meeting and heading out for a night out. So use promo code ISD15 and get 15% off of all online items. Not valid on the bespoke, but everything else 15% off. ISD15. All right, Jamie. Big blowout win for the Irish. Main takeaways from you. What did you think about the game? What stood out to you before we really get into it?
Just thought, exactly kind of what you wanted to see out of Notre Dame. Domination, really. Just a ton of explosive plays.
Yeah.
A lot of havoc on defense. Probably could have had a lot more if the quarterbacks weren't just kind of like trying to get rid of the football.
Yeah,
a little bit more. So that would, in that way, it's tough to say. It could have been much worse, but it was over 20% in the game. With the starters in, it was 24.3% havoc rate. So, you're always going to take that. I think the good thing is that you got to see, obviously, that the start didn't go good for the first drive wasn't great for the defense, but they got to stop in the red zone, and then just adversity hits right away. Quick sudden change, and then they stepped up right away, and then and blocked a field goal. Right. And then another, bit of adversity hits them, and they got another stop, which forced them to miss field goal too. Right. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, there's a lot to like from that side of the ball. Obviously, Sam Hartman is a pretty good football player and all that. I think we should just talk about the targeting stuff right away.
Let's do it now. Do it now.
You can go first, and then I'll.
Well, ND Nation, thank you for the super chat. He's asking helmet to helmet on Notre Dame fumble refs. WTF. So when I first saw it, the one on Devin Ford, I thought they're not going to give it to him. I don't know why. I just sensed it. It just didn't seem like they were going to call it. And the fact that, like, I think, Jason Garrett and Paul Burmeister, Jason Garrett especially, couldn't bring themselves to mention, like, they're calling, like, oh, the ball came loose. Why did the ball come loose, Jamie? Why did that happen? It's
because Devin Ford got knocked out on a helmet to helmet.
He was knocked out, and so that's pretty clear. He lost both arms. They both go limp, loses the ball, and they're not going to mention it. They don't call it, and I don't know what the criteria is for helmet to helmet. He took his helmet, put it on the kid's helmet, right on the helmet. Right. And the other part, too, is like, so when we compare it to the Antonio Carter ejection, Antonio Carter is trying to put his head to the side. He's trying to put his head to the side.
It hit the shoulder pad first.
It hit the shoulder pad. He's trying to use his shoulder, and the quarterback ducks down on the side. And it's just, that's what he's trying to do. The Tennessee State player doesn't do that. He sticks his helmet right on Devin Ford's helmet. Targeting. And it wasn't targeting. And Notre Dame obviously lost the ball. And they went ahead and blocked the field goal, so nothing came of it. But it's not good. It's not good, Jamie. And I don't know what to say other than it's completely unsurprising. It's completely unsurprising. Everyone just can kind of predict. Like, it's going to be bad every single week. It's bad every single week. I'll let you go because it seems like you're pretty fired up about it. So go for it.
I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't even say, like, I'm not even saying that the guy did it with intention.
No, for sure.
It was not intentional.
No, I don't think it was dirty or anything.
I've watched thousands of college football games, and that gets called all the time. He literally was knocked out from the hit. Like, I just don't understand that. And if you watch, and I know whatever, I know it's in the live, when you see it live and when you see it on the replay, it's different, right?
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. You're supposed to look at it on the friggin' replay, and there's pictures of the guy lowering his head into it. It wasn't like obvious, but it's a very natural thing that a lot of kids do when they hit. And he did it, and he went helmet on helmet. It wasn't like egregious. It wasn't the worst, dirtiest play I've ever seen. I said it's not. I don't even think it was dirty. I don't think he could have put that on his chest, and it just happened. There was another guy who hit him at the same time, and obviously the first hit was not dirty, right? But it's exactly why you want to get rid of kickoffs, or not me, but like why some people want to get rid of kickoffs,
right?
Because that kind of play can happen. Like, that is a super dangerous play. Like, I don't know when Devin Ford's going to be able to play again, if he's going to be able to play again.
Yeah.
Certainly, Torrey Hunter was never the same after he got his helmet-on-helmet hit. Like, it can happen like that. And that guy ran 40 yards down the field, right? So, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't that it was mind-boggling that they didn't at least say, like, well, I mean, isn't that at first I was like, Terry McCauley's not here. So it's like, okay, they had another rules announcer, right? Who was there. And first of all, too, the rules announcer explained why the second one wasn't, and then it got called. And I was like, oh my God. It was a really great play by Antonio Carter, too. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I guess you could say this has happened a lot. I mean, I watched the Louisville Georgia Tech game last night.
Yeah.
by the way, like, I mean, both those teams might be terrible. It was a fun game to watch, but both those teams might be terrible. But and there were two bad targeting hits, and one of the guys got kicked out, right? But it was something where I saw that way more. It was a way more dirty game in terms of some of the hits, and I was like, there was a lot of game ones who were Haynes King, who's the Georgia Tech quarterback, was sliding, and he could have got decapitated basically because guys were cutting for his head. And so I don't really understand what it's tough, right? It's almost like I don't even think to slide is safe for a quarterback, whatever. But disregarding all that, it's just like there's this huge gray area. I'm not even opposed to the rule, because I do think you should have something in there, right? Like JD Bertrand, he had those ones that he got booted out for.
Yeah.
They were targeting. I mean, people might not like it, but they was like helmet to helmet. But also, I think you could have said if that at least one of those JD Bertrand hits looked an awful lot like the kickoff, and he got booted out. And I don't understand. I don't get it. Obviously, in this game, you can say, oh, it didn't really matter because of this game, right? Well, Antonio Carter, this was going to be a game where he was going to get a ton of reps, and then he gets kicked out. So he doesn't get a chance to kind of show and make a move or whatever, right? So that's right. Ford, like I said, who knows what's going to happen with him? So yeah, they win 59-3, but don't act like it didn't affect the game or affect those specific guys. Yeah, especially these guys who are both have their degrees. They're I mean, Carter's got another year left after this one, but Ford, this is probably his last year ever playing football. And I mean, that hit probably sealed the deal there, but I don't know. It's just a totally frustrating thing. And I know we'll get to the game, but it's very, it's mind boggling. I don't get it.
It's just a lack of uniformity. You never know. It's crew to crew. Even the replay guy, it depends, because on either play there was no flag from the refs, so they weren't calling it. And then the replay guy, how does he determine, how is he making that decision, or she? I guess it could be a lady up there. So it's just, that's the problem, is there's no clarity, there's no understanding. It just kind of, it goes, it is what it is. I want to say thank you to Ken Tremaine for the super chat. Really appreciate that. That was very nice. So getting into the game, let's get more into the game. So 26 first downs for Notre Dame, 557 yards of total offense. I think they started slow. On both sides, they started slow. And then, honestly, interestingly, I think that the hit on Devin Ford kind of woke up. It kind of woke up the team. I think it made them angry. Yeah. Yeah, I think it bothered them. I think they were fired up by that. And after that, on both sides of the ball, it was just a much cleaner and crisp performance from everyone. Sam Hartman, I think we can good quarterback, right? 14-17, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, another rushing touchdown. He just never, you have a reflex as a fan, right, of a Notre Dame fan. It's 3rd and 10. Oh boy, it's 3rd and 10. This is hate 3rd and 10, and that's just nothing. No, it's no problem. I'll throw a little crosser to Jaden Thomas, or I'll throw this route to Mitchell Evans. It's going to be totally fine. He does a 2-minute drill right down the field. It's happening. 6 plays, 80 yards. Just everything is crisp and clean. I don't understand these coaches. Last week it was Newberry, and this week it's Eddie George kicking field goals. Stop kicking field goals. You're multiple touchdowns down. You're multiple touchdown dogs. You're down 28-0 or whatever it was, 28-3. Don't kick a field goal. Just go for it. They're going to go down and score. You gotta give your team a chance. And again, try to keep Notre Dame off the field. But he looks great. the second week in a row, the running backs, whoever's in there, it was unfortunate for Devin Ford, like you said. It's just unfortunate. He would have had a lot of run in this game. Jeremiah Love opening touchdown. Audric Estime, a very strong game. Javon Payne in the passing game. Jadarian Price in the passing game. He continues to look really good. Notre Dame running backs, Jamie. I think there was a lot said in the preseason about those guys. They look unbelievable. Tell me what you saw from them.
Yeah, they look great. It's crazy because you just watch, and as good as Audric Estime is, you're just like, you look at how Jeremiah Love and JD Price in particular, you're like, oh man,
how they hit the hole, man.
How they hit the hole. How they hit the hole, and just the quickness of their cuts, and just and just like that Love touchdown, just making that one guy miss, and then it's a house call, right? Like, and Price too, really on that, on his too,
yeah.
right? Like, I think I thought Payne is a really good short yardage back. He is very good. Like, he's just got this lean to him too. And I just think the Notre Dame is just loaded. They're just loaded. And I mean, it's not as a surprise, but I think if they didn't look as loaded, there would have been a lot of people today who would have been like, oh man, Donovan Edwards, because he is a weapon. Right.
Yeah.
And actually he was fantastic. For those who don't know, who didn't watch, Coach Prime and Colorado beat TCU today. Donovan Edwards looked great. Also, I think TCU might suck. I think that might be a thing, that they actually might suck, because they
definitely defensively.
Defensively,
I mean, credit. I mean, like, not to go too much credit to Colorado. Shedeur Sanders
made some
throws, man. He made some throws, man. Full credit. Some of those coverages are just, I mean, it's like USC, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, Colorado USC is going to be a doozy this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And Travis Hunter, wow. I mean, I think he played like 120 snaps in the game. Although there's no way that he lasts. That's what's going to happen. Like, it's not a human thing that can.
No, you can't. You cannot.
He will probably tear something, and that's probably not safe for him. So, I hope they don't ruin him, because he is a fantastic player.
I have a question for you.
Or Dylan Edwards, not Donovan Edwards. Yeah, because Corey, you screwed me up earlier. You called him Donovan.
Don't put it out there, Corey. Although Corey did apologize. He did.
He did. He did. I'm sorry, but yes, Dylan Edwards. Donovan
I have
Edwards,
a question.
Also a stud for Michigan. Yeah.
I have a question for you. Are you? I guess it's monitoring. That's our thing now. We're monitoring. I'm really monitoring this. Notre Dame can't get the ball over the top.
I mean, I don't even know. Did they even?
There were at least a couple where you could just tell by the way the play is. It's like they're sending someone deep, and he's looking, and he's not throwing it. It's just, you want to see it. I keep saying, like, where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? That needs to be a part of it. It needs to be a part of it. They can't. I mean, maybe they can. Maybe they could just throw to these backs, and it's just like, all the way down the field. Maybe Michigan does that, although they can get the wide receivers involved. Like, that's the only thing through the first 2 weeks that gives me a little bit of pause. It's not going to be, they're not going to play these caliber DBs forever. It's better players are coming.
Yeah. Although I say that that was their Tennessee State, that those are their best players, are their DBs. So like on defense, like that's their best players. Fair. But still, you got to be able to. I mean, they did pretty well. Like
it's not like I can't criticize their play, because when do you see, like, there wasn't a wide receiver in this game who was like, What's your deal? You know, like that wasn't the case. Every time they got a chance, they made a play. So there's that. It's not like a criticism. It's just you want to see it. You want to see it. We're seeing a ton of like the potential in the running game. I thought the offensive line, but you know, I thought it was a little bit shaky game from Blake Fisher. Like he made a couple of mistakes, especially early. I mean, it's really nitpicky. 557 yards of offense. I haven't looked, but you're looking at like 8 yards of play, probably 9 yards of play, 8.5. It's hard to nitpick on something like that, but it's just, you know, so far so good, right? We've seen Notre Dame struggle in the second part of, you know, like the second game after the opener. But anything from the offensive line that you saw, tight ends obviously got involved. And talk about that in a second. But anything from the offensive line that stuck out to you?
I mean, I think once I rewatch it, I'll get a kind of a better idea. I mean, overall, it's like, yeah, you can pick out plays like the play Angeli made where he escaped the rush and hit Price, which was obviously a great play by him and a great play by Price.
Yeah.
Like both guards got beat bad on that play. So if you're looking at that, you're like, well, that didn't look great. But that wasn't like a thing that happened very often. Like the protection was very good overall. I think like, you know, running the football, they didn't open as many huge holes, but I think a big thing was like they were, you know, overloading the box. Like that was what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And then obviously they still ran like really well against them too, right? So, and I think too, you're not gonna like. I don't think like Notre Dame's gonna run toss a lot this year, and they like did it in this game. Like, especially to Audric Estime, I don't see that being like a staple play for them. They don't need to save. They don't need to show anything in this game, right? So, I don't know. Like I do think like O-line wise, I just offense wise, I mean, there's nothing you can really nitpick other than you can say like, you know, it would have been nice if Tobias Merriweather had like got one of the guys who got a big play.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody else made a big play pretty much. So it's like Colsey didn't, right? Colsey, I mean, I never even noticed him out there today. I don't even know if he got a target, to be honest. Let me just double check. But
I saw him out there a good amount, but yeah, they didn't throw him the ball.
Yeah, he didn't get targeted. But you know, I guess that's the thing this week is that now does Sam Hartman hate Deion Colsey? Because apparently hated the tight ends until that 2-minute drive at the end.
2-minute drive,
when he only threw to tight ends, and he only threw to Stays and Evans. But honestly, too, just like that kind of thing, this is that kind of game where you want to get people going. And Evans, like, he has to be so much more confident after this game, right? I think you look at Stays, that was like a really good catch. Also, like, that was a good ball because it had to be in that spot. Yeah, and then, I mean, Angeli got 22 snaps in the game. Like, Minchie got it, right?
They let him throw the ball. They let him throw the ball. I mean, that really worked out for them.
And you could see, okay, and so he had that one. It was like, I think it was like an RPO where he threw the out to Flores, and it was like way off.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, gosh, that wasn't a pretty one. And then right after that, he made the he just stuck it in Evans' chest on third down. And you're like, that's exactly why you want to get reps, because you don't want that to be the last thing that's stuck in his mind. You want him to gain confidence, right? Like, overall, the quarterbacks completed, even Minchie, who obviously he got a chance to kind of throw them. Even just like that one third down where he's like stepping up, nice little like flick of the wrist to Sherwood on the run was like a really good throw. Like a really just like kind of shows that he's kind of beyond his years in some ways, right? To make that kind of play, right? So I don't know. Like I think you look at it and there's just nothing you can really complain about. I mean, you watch a film and that's the whole point. You watch it after and you figure it out. But there wasn't anything in the game that you could say that was bad or that wasn't good from an offensive perspective. And really just like Hartman on that 2 minute, like, first of all, 2 straight weeks, 2 minute. Also, too, this was a huge thing. Marcus Freeman calling the timeouts, to get them. It's like, well, there's 53 seconds left. First of all, this just shows too why Jason Garrett, like, I mean, the guy's not good at the job. I'm sorry. He like there's better people who are at it, and also shows why Jason Garrett is no longer an employed NFL head coach when he's like, I don't know. After they called the timeout, so it's obvious that they were going to try to score here.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. I think they might just run it out here, Paul. What? Why did he call the timeout?
He's obviously doing that for a reason.
Yeah.
He obviously wants them to get the ball back. Like, because he knows, like, this is our chance. We want to get one extra possession here. We want to run 2 minute. Of course, they're not going to sit on it. Why would they sit on it? Why would they do that? They don't get the ball. It starts second half. What was the point of the timeouts? Like that, there's only one reason for that.
And also too, I think like based on last year too, Marcus Freeman obviously understands the importance of that middle eight and like that thing. And like, I mean, obviously, they dominated the whole games, really the last 2 games, but really like we're great in the middle eight. Right. And just even the decision to be like, I mean, Sam, you're done into the going to the second half. Like he didn't need to be out there, and the decision to have Angeli work with the ones and not just go straight with the twos.
Yeah,
that was just really smart. So I just liked everything about that part of the decision making on offense, and like you really too when you look at like, I mean, yes, Notre Dame should have killed them. Yes, they should average 8.8 yards per play. Like that is the kind of game you should have against frankly a below average FCS opponent. But you still got to go out and do it, and then they did it. So got to tip your hat to the staff, the players, and in particular Jared Parker again, who had called another really nice game.
And they did it last week too. That's the other thing. It's not like it was struggle bus against Navy and then, oh, you look great against the FCS school. Like they look great. And the other part too is like it wasn't like they were completely sharp either, Like there was a little bit of rust there. There was a little bit of like, we're not completely on our game. And you still go out there and perform that way. I think Sam Hartman has 7 incompletions on the season. I think that's right. I think he had 4 last week and 3 this week.
Pretty good.
That's going to work. That works. And that's also to the point about, the kind of the deep passing game too. Like they don't need it. It's just one of those things. Like maybe they just haven't gotten to it. Someone asked earlier, I think it was Ray John, like, are they saving it? It's like, I don't know that they're consciously saving it, but it's like there's other things that they can run that'll obviously get them the things that they want to get. And he's over. Look, the other part too is he's over 10 yards per attempt. So it's not like they aren't. It's not dink and dunk everything, like they're getting guys down the field. It's just that I'm talking about post over the top, fade down the sideline, something like streak down the sideline, something like that. But maybe, there's a time and a place. And so I think that's been super impressive. I think the offensive line has been super impressive. The tight ends, that's another one. Like those guys, you give them an opportunity and they're ready to make the plays. Mitchell Evans looked great. Good job by him. Holden Stays gets opportunity and makes a great catch for the touchdown. I think it was 8 different players scored a touchdown today. That's also great to see just in terms of just.
I wonder if that's a record.
It's got to be close, right? Like no one, did anyone score twice? I don't think so. 8 times 7. Yeah, no, 56 points. So no. So yeah, that's very impressive. Defensively, Jamie. they've, you wrote in the offseason about this team being fast and having different kind of setups that they can go with. They can throw different players out there. Boy, I tell you, there is not a guy that they put in the game where you think that makes me nervous. It's actually the opposite, where it's like, oh, Josh Burnham's in the game. That I'm excited to see that. Thomas Harper, I thought, he got extensive playing time today. I thought he looked really good, very aggressive. I mean, that's what you need out of that slot player. He was good in coverage. He's very strong in the run game.
I thought that PI was a little ticky-tack there. I didn't like that call.
Okay. I'll tell you what I hate. The ball is behind everybody. That receiver is never making that catch. Ever.
He just leaned back, and then he got the call.
Just leaned back. He's like a half second. It's like, oh, flag's coming out. As a DB, look, did I prevent them?
The ref's got to pick that up. The ref's got to pick that up.
You don't need to throw it. You don't need to throw it. It's very disappointing every single time. I thought the coverage was good. And it was one of those plays too where the receiver broke off the route because the quarterback was scrambling and he recovered really well. I'm just gonna let it go.
What? Get out of here, man, Michael. What? Just
let it go. But okay. I thought Thomas Harper looked good. Ramon Henderson has 2 of the best interceptions you'll ever have in your life.
Yeah, I know. He's got his 2 in his career.
His pick against Virginia in 2021 is like Kyle Hamilton caliber. And then this one, full extension, laying out, incredible catch.
Former receiver.
Love it from the safety. Love it from him. I love it. My California guy playing offense as well. I don't, the missed tackle stuff. Sure. It's
well, you know what?
It was the first couple drives. I will say that.
The first, okay. Here's 2 things. Okay, if I'm going to say about some negative stuff that I thought Ryan Mills was really bad on the first drive. Did not like his game.
Yeah.
Get off a block, Riley. Like, I think and also had a chance to make a TFL, missed it. Just these kind of plays, it's just like, he's got to make those plays. You got to make those plays, especially because if you don't make it in this game, then are you going to make it against NC State? Are you going to make it against like those kind of make those plays?
You're a senior.
Yeah. And I just you look at Cross today, and Howard Cross was like the best defensive lineman on the field. Very evident, just very evident. Consistent pressure, as a pass rusher. He's credited with 6 tackles. He had a pass breakup. Obviously, he was the guy who caused that horrible throw that Henderson picked off. He was an impactful guy. If I was gonna, if I'm nitpicking, I'm saying Riley Mills. It's time, man. It's time. Just consistency specifically against the run. He's not consistent enough against the run. And that's something where when you look at it too, you're like, I know Gabriel Rubio missed this game, but you're like, Gabriel Rubio, when you're back, you might have a chance to overtake that if Mills doesn't step up. Because he has not been good enough versus the run. Versus the pass, he is fine. He will flash versus the passer. He'll get some pressure. He's obviously a freakish guy, right? With all these NFL checks all the boxes and everything, but he's got to be a better player versus the run. And there was a lot of plays on those inside zone plays. I'm like, man, get there and get penetration, force his cutback, or get off the block. That's one or the other. And he was the guy that definitely stood out to me on that opening drive in a not good way.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to say that, and then the other thing is Jalen Sneed, which is, and this is why Jalen Sneed, when you watch, okay, first of all, Jalen Sneed, the one pass rush off the edge, like impressive. Like that's why he is what people should be excited about him. He's a freak athlete. He is, one of these guys. He's going to make plays this season at some point where you're like, man, that changed the game because he has that kind of ability. And there was another play too where there was like a cross dog on like a third down, and he really he put the back on his heels and got him into the quarterback. It ended up being an incompletion on third down, right? Like that's the kind of thing where Snead, when he's attack mode, he looks great. In space, he missed a ton of tackles.
Yeah.
And because he overruns it. And he is fast. He is so fast. He gets there in a hurry. But for whatever reason, it's like bad angles. He's just like out of control in space on a lot of times. And he missed numerous plays. And really, like, there wasn't really anybody else who kind of missed like that than him. So in terms of the tackles, or at least that stood out to me as a guy who missed repeated tackles, he was the guy really in this game. And that's the kind of thing is that, like, as a linebacker, he's just not there yet, right? And it's not to say that this guy might not use. First of all, you have to remember Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah not even playing at this time, right?
Did not, yeah. So he didn't come on until his redshirt sophomore year, which would be his junior year. So he's not. Yeah, he wasn't out there.
So, and that's honestly probably the best comparable to him as an athlete is that, and also comparable to him in a guy that played multiple positions in high school, like wasn't really a linebacker, was still kind of learning how to be a linebacker, and then really took off, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. But even at the beginning of that 2019 season, there's a lot of ups and downs. And then obviously the ups just overtook everything, and he became amazing, won the Buckets the next year, right? So that kind of stuff is, if I'm monitoring that with Jalen Snead, because if you're watching this game, you're like, that's why this guy can't play regularly as a linebacker yet. And outside of that stuff were the only real things that I think were big. I think, well, not big, but small issues in this game, because, I mean, you look at the coverage. There was I don't recall that there was like a blown coverage in the game, like anything that really like stood out where you're like, oh, we like no like, hey, pointed fingers after, like, what the heck happened? Nothing like that. So played a pretty clean game that way. You see, just like, Ben Morrison only targeted a couple times, but looked really good on both of them. I think linebacker play was solid for sure. Maris did look good rushing the passer, certainly looked good on that one blitz, the one where Botello did. Botello had another strong game. They got pressure a lot, like you said. Burnham. I mean, Burnham just shows up, man. He just shows up.
Consistent. I mean, it's like every time he's in the game, I get excited. Because that's just an eye test thing.
Yeah, and he's like getting pressure, makes that play backside, right, for TFL. Like just the freshman coming in at the end, like Adon Schuler got a nice little tackle in the open field there on that one. It was a good play. I mean, they converted on third and short or fourth and short or whatever it was, but he made a really good play there. That was like that to me was like, oh, that's something there. Osbury made another nice play, like on a later drive that looked good. Brandon Vernon, I thought, working inside at 3-tech looked good. Showing something there. I think it was one of these games where it's like young guys get a chance to play, doing well, and like the numbers in the game. Like I understand you can nitpick and say the first series, whatever, right? Well, they averaged 2.7 yards per play and 2.5 yards per carry and they only completed 36% of their passes with 2 picks. And I mean, just everything that, that you could see out of that. That was just like really, really good. Like, yeah. Oh, sorry, because someone Rajon mentioned Drake Bowen. Yeah, Drake Bowen didn't play in the game.
He didn't play. Yeah, he was
hurt, but
we had heard he got dinged up
yeah,
or last week, so we thought that might be a thing. So that's something to monitor there. And speaking of monitoring, everyone should be monitoring the VSR Media Twitter feed because they've got a nice video of Jeremiah Love scoring the opening touchdown. So you're going to want to monitor that. And then after you're done doing that, you're going to want to head over to VSRmediacompany.com, which was founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emmy award-winning anchor Vahid Sadrazadeh. VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo, whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or aiming to diversify or grow your business. VSR Media specializes in short and long form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior, and sports photos. So contact them at vsrmediacompany.com. Mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. All right, something I want to mention. Ben Morrison, appreciate that player. He is so good. He is, I watch him just to see. He is just his feet, his patience, his stickiness. He sticks to guys so well. The catch, and here's the thing, we were talking about Thomas Harper and how it's like the ball is never getting caught. The catch that Ben Morrison gives up, the receiver's at the top of the route, 2-hand shove. It's like, what is more affecting on the play? The DB who's on the guy and he throws him out of the way, or the guy who hits the receiver a second before a ball that he's never catching goes by. It disappoints me, but he is just so good. These teams, they continue to throw at him. They're never getting caught. They're not almost getting caught. Terrific player. Someone mentioned Cam in this game. Wolf tackling. I only saw one where I thought
he missed the one tackle. Yeah,
he is protecting that shoulder. He is very loath to get involved, and I kind of understand because you really don't need it. You just don't. Like, look, Cam needs to be right for Ohio State, for USC, and for Clemson. Like, that's where they need him to be right. He doesn't need to be right for these games. And so I kind of get it, because it's like he came up on the side to come up and rally, and he stopped and shuffled and was looking to catch the player, and the player made a juke and he got around him. To me, it's just like, that is classic. Like, I don't want to stick my face in here because I don't want to risk my body. I kind of get it. 5th-year senior, he's had a bunch of shoulder injuries. I kind of understand that. I'm not gonna bang him for that. Who else played a good game? I mean, Watts continues to be very active player. And sometimes he's a guy who his action is so, like, he is involved so much that he'll get involved in a play where, because of his hustle, he shouldn't even be there, but it causes him to like miss a tackle. Like, there was one play where he's like kind of diving and reaching, and he lunges for the legs and he doesn't get there. But I'm like, the only reason he's in position to make that is because he's busting his butt down the alley and trying to make the play. Like, to me, that's where it's like, and honestly, JD Bertrand kind of is in this position as well sometimes too, where it's like, because of his activity level, he gets himself into situations where it's like he'll miss a tackle, because like, you shouldn't even be around the play, but because he's so active, he gets there. So that happens a lot. I mean, obviously, it's a very strong game for everyone in the secondary. Like you said, didn't see anything, super alarming. Ryan made a play at corner, so good job by him there. Special teams, to go back to the kickoff return, there needs to be a call or something, because I've been in this situation, so I knew exactly what was going to happen. Right when he catches it and he goes to the left, I'm like, there's no way he's making it. But so they have a left return on, and they kind of squib it short to the right. He cannot make it all the way over there. He just cannot. You have to, there has to be a way to, you catch it and say, you know what, I'm just going to run forward, go as fast as I can, as many yards as I can on the sideline, and get out of bounds.
It wasn't, the timing was all off. So it was,
You're just never making it. You're never getting there unless you're unless you're Rocket. then you could try. But I don't think Devin Ford is Rocket. And so you got to just say, you know what, it's not going to work. I got to go down the sideline. Go ahead.
I mean, some guys are talking about Clarence Lewis obviously had the pick 6, which is pretty nice. But Clarence Lewis played well. I mean, that's just the kind of thing too, where that's also too why Clarence Lewis, you want this guy on the team. He finds the football. He literally did nothing that he wasn't doing his job on that play, and taking that flat away, and then just jumped it. That's it. It was right there for him. Well, thrown right to him, and then he took it. That was, and made a nice move after too, right? So that's just the kind of thing that you want to see there too. And someone else mentioned about NC State. They played on Thursday night, so they played UConn.
Unimpressive.
It was not a good game for NC State. The offense, I think they're going to struggle against Notre Dame. Their offense, I just they ran for 220 or something like that. I think it was 223, but 100, basically almost 100, was 96 yards came from Brendan Armstrong. Most of those came on scrambles. So
he's everything. He's their whole everything. If he's not completing passes, they're around 6 yards per attempt, 5 something, they're throwing short on everything. He's got all the runs. It's just he is everything. And I don't know that that's going to work against Notre Dame. I would not want to be just taking a bunch of hits from these defenders that. I just don't. I don't see that.
Yeah, and obviously we'll get into them later in the week too. But defensively, they have some players for sure. They have NFL players at all 3 levels, but they have to replace a ton of guys. And I don't think the defensive line, I read something where Tony Gibson's their defensive coordinator, and he said this is their deepest D line that he's ever had or whatever. And I mean, it didn't show up in the UConn game.
They got run all over.
Yeah, they did not. They didn't play the run very well. Davin Van, he's a stud. He's good. He's very good. He'll be by far the best defensive lineman that Notre Dame has played so far this year. And I mean, whatever. All these guys they're more legit guys than they're going to have to play. Obviously you're going from playing Tennessee State and Navy to a Power 5 school. It's going to be harder. But I don't think NC State, they're not specifically because at receiver skill guys wise. It's pretty ugly there. I don't think they're going to score a lot of points in the game. Armstrong would have to be unbelievable. Just as a runner, and he might get really hurt if he tries to run 20 times against Notre Dame. So, we'll see. We'll see with that. But I don't know. You want to just transition? Let's talk a little bit about. We didn't get to watch the Ohio State game because that was going on at the same time, but not a great game for Ohio State. Not a great opener. I think Notre Dame fans should kind of chill a bit because, that is the first game of the season. They played Indiana on the road. So it's different than playing Navy or Tennessee State. So maybe if they were playing Tennessee State, they don't look nearly as bad. But in saying that, it was not an Ohio State like game. Numbers wise, I'll have to watch.
Well, I got it right here. So Ohio State wins the game 23-3. Kyle McCord goes 20 of 33 for 239, 7.2 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick, 31 rushes for 143, 4.6 yards per carry, 23 first downs, which is good, 380 total yards. It's just that's not Ohio State. That's not what they do. That's not what they've been. Just looking at Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka. Marvin Harrison finished 2 for 18. Emeka Egbuka finished 3 for 16. The tight end did really well. Cade Stover, 5 for 98. Maybe Marvin Harrison's wishing he had transferred to USC. Like that was the rumor. It's just it doesn't look anything like Ohio State defensively.
They're going to be good.
Absolute beast. Indiana had 153 total yards, 82 yards passing, 71 yards rushing. It's just that
really
defense.
Good.
That defense might be real. Might be a different kind of game than we're all expecting.
But still, like they're going to be good defense. Like I would say that game, kind of be similar scoring wise to last year is what I would expect. Like it's not going to be like I don't think Notre Dame has to drop 40 to win that game. Like where they're going to play USC and it's just like, they got Caleb Williams, so they could just drop 40 at the drop of a hat, right? So I think that's the thing. We'll see. We'll see where they're at. And obviously, too, Notre Dame, everything looks fine and dandy right now. But I think we got to see how they're looking at NC State because, frankly, what I saw from NC State, and also Brendan Armstrong looks kind of like the same guy that he was last year and not the 2021 version. So if that's what it is, I think that, they're going to really – NC State's going to really struggle in that game. But, that is going to be – it's going to be a test. It's a road game. They won 16 of the last 17 games at home, NC State. So, obviously that was mostly with the last 2 years teams, and those teams were very good, and they had great defenses. So, and obviously one of those years too, they had Leary as a quarterback, and he was great. So,
you got to remember, like when Brendan Armstrong was doing all that in 2021, like that Virginia team had some real wideouts. Like they had some really good wide receivers. They had a really good tight end as well. So that was a very good offense for them. Chris Waworka has a good. Oops, not that one. Had a good question. If you had to pick 2 running backs to stick with, who would it be?
I think we kind of talked about this earlier. The problem is just we don't know. I think with Jeremiah Love, it's all about like if you were just going to say just off straight raw talent, like get this guy touches. You'd say Audric Estime and Jeremiah Love. Yeah. That's what you would say, but you still got to pass. You do pass pro, and you got to do all these other things too. So I don't know if Jeremiah Love can handle all that yet, and if he can't, then then you wouldn't pick him. You wouldn't pick him, right? So, I don't know. It's tough, and that's why I think that's the reason. That's why Payne is above these other guys right now, is because I think he's better in that area. But you can't deny when if you come out and you keep making plays, and then so let's. This will be interesting because this is going to be the first legit, defense that they're going to play. I don't know how many touches all the backs are going to get. It's like it's fun to be like this 4 or 5 headed monster now. It's like, well, maybe only 2 of the guys get touches.
Yeah.
Right. Like after that. So we'll see. But it's a good question. It's a very good question, Chris.
Here's a question. Who starts for Notre Dame in 2019 at running back? If you have just take out Devin Ford and insert Tony Jones. If you had Tony Jones versus Audric Estime, who are you taking?
I mean, yeah. Obviously you're taking
Who would you take? Tony Jones or Jabron Payne?
I would take Tony Jones.
Tony Jones is a good player. I don't want to besmirch, but like you're getting to the point where it's like
Tony Jones, I think, is like a perfect number 2 back to me.
Yeah.
Because he is like a guy who can, first of all, he's a do-it-all guy, as like a sneaky good receiver.
He's very close to like Jabron Payne.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty close. And I would say like, yeah, that's kind of, if you were going to say a comparison, Tony Jones is bigger, but yeah, that's, and then you would say like, maybe Tony Jones doesn't have the juice that Payne has, but then you're like, oh, he did score an 85-yard touchdown that one time. So
yeah, he had like a huge game against USC. I think that my point is like, you look at Jadarian Price and you look at like Jeremiah Love. I mean, those guys,
the ceiling on those guys is just
like next year, man. Next year, those boys are going to be something. They are going to be something. Those guys, they're going to be hard. It's one of those things like Estime, because I was actually thinking, man, you know, with NIL and everything, like, what's the big rush to get to the NFL? You're not getting your second contract regardless. You're not. It doesn't matter. Saquon Barkley hasn't gotten a second contract, you know, like it's like a thing. So like stay and make NIL money and then go. But you're going to cede carries to Love and Price. You just are. Jabron Payne, same thing. I mean, they have really something going forward at the running back position. And speaking of something, you know, I haven't gotten to see Braylon James really, other than like field level views. You can't really tell. Watching him come off the ball today.
Whoa. He can run.
Whoa. They got they gotta send him. Send him. I want to see it against some team. I'm telling you right now. Please put Chancey Stuckey. Groom him to be like the Chris Brown. There is something there. He can run. He can absolutely run. I am intrigued. Monitoring.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's a physical talent, no doubt.
The first time, so I saw him on the sideline or on the field, and he was to the boundary, and I was like, I think that's Braylon James. I'm pretty sure that's him. And then the snap came, and the way he got off, I was like, oh boy, that is 100% him. And then I got very excited.
Yeah, I also too love that Rico Flores after the catch. Just love that. Just love the guy goes low on him. Just keeps fighting. Love that. Also,
he blocks his butt off, by the way.
Also, as you mentioned in the text, Jaden Greathouse. It's a long way away for those 78 catches.
He's not going to get 78.
He's not getting 78. He's a great player. He's a great player. He's gonna have a monster career. He still might get to 40. He still might, right? But
yeah,
I mean. No, he's not getting to 78 catches. Oh my gosh. That was
they spread the ball too much. And that's what I think is a little bit like, you don't know, like with the best offenses that Notre Dame has had, it was always like Will Fuller, got him, you know, Golden Tate, Michael Floyd, like those are the dudes. Now, it's like, you know, 4 catches for Jaden Thomas, you know, 4 catches for Mitchell Evans, right? Like 60-something yards. The quarterback numbers are really good from a yards per attempt standpoint. Like you would kill for them. But for individual players, it's just they might have 5 guys with 40 catches at the end of the year, and it just they may not have one guy who's doing the big numbers.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if there's going to be a game where you're like, whoa, Jaden Thomas had like 8 for 140 or something.
Yeah.
Like is that coming? Because right now, I mean, it's all working good right now, and obviously, it's like, yeah, we got to. Next week is going to be a test. It's going to be a test. First of all, too, NC State. That's the one thing they got legit corners. They have very good corners. They have very good corners. That's going to be a test. That's going to be a test. Also, I think could be a big tight end game. That game, because I just think that like they've got 2 new starters at linebacker. They're replacing some guys at safety. James Lawrence NC, you got to chill, man. Like, you know how much pressure that Notre Dame had in this game? Like, they just like threw the ball away like 10 times in this game. The 1 sack, they could have like 6 sacks. It was just one of those things. They completed 30% of their passes. Like,
like the interception to Henderson, like that happens because he's chucking it because he's about to get sacked. That's the thing.
The way that I would look at it too is because you can look at, say, the 2019. Okay, perfect example. 2019 pass rush. The 2019 pass rush was for Notre Dame was way better than the pass rush of 2021 or 2022. The sack numbers aren't close. Yeah. And the reason the sack numbers aren't close is because they had games where they were like, guys were scared. They were like, we got to get rid of the friggin' ball. Like, go back and don't actually go back and watch this. But if you did go back and watched Bowling Green and New Mexico State, if you watch those games specifically, I don't think Notre Dame had like big sack numbers in those games, but the quarterbacks were like running for their lives and just throwing the ball away the whole time. And I'm not saying that the pass rush, this pass rush is in 2019. Good. I mean, it at least hasn't shown it yet. And definitely. And in this game too, you better get a ton of pressure, right? Yeah. So they did get a ton of pressure for sure. But pressure is what matters. Pressure is 100% what matters. And they got the pressure. So this is another game too. I don't think NC State's offensive line is that good. They're replacing 3 starters. I don't think either of the tackles are that great in pass pro. And I really think the guards their center's good player. Their center's a good player. The one tackle's like a big dude, but I just think he's kind of not great. He's a better run blocker than a pass pro guy. And the 2 guards, one guy's a new starter. The other guy, I think Notre Dame fans remember, he was Derek Eason, who was Notre Dame recruited him as a D lineman, right? Like Mike Elson offered him. He was like a late guy they tried to get late. Anyways, he's been playing O-line for the last 3 years. He is not, he's not he's good against the run, but like a lot of guys who probably made the switch, he's pretty inconsistent against the pass. So I think that that's a thing where you should see Notre Dame should win a lot. And if they don't win a lot in that game, then I'd be like, I would have some questions about the pass rush for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, it'll be very exciting to get into that next week. We'll be talking all about that. And I think we'll leave it there for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Don't forget, morning after recap tomorrow. We're going to go through all of the stats, snap counts, all those other things. I'll be around 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. More content coming for everybody, so please tune into that as well. If this is your first time catching us, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. Notre Dame beats Tennessee State 56-3, moves to 2-0. Very good performance from everybody. So thank you all again for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow morning.